Gauteng Transport MEC Mamabolo has in the past 2 days been in Ekurhuleni visiting that community to promote the passing of the Township Economic Development Bill. The bill was recently unanimously endorsed by parties in the Gauteng Legislature. MEC Mamabolo joins us now to unpack a little bit more why the residents of Ekurhuleni would need to be excited about this. MEC, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight. I did speak to the Economic Development MEC, at the launch of this bill when it was all signed. There was much excitement about it. And I'm glad that you are now taking it directly to the townships that are affected in Tsakane, in Duduza, in Davidton, in Vosloorus, and all those areas in Ekurhuleni. Now, the last 18 months have been tumultuous in as far as economic development. Even your plans around the development of economic hubs has been thwarted to an extent. What is it about this bill that would get me excited in Ekurhuleni?
Well, firstly, let me greet all the viewers, and thank you very much for inviting me. Just to confirm that, yes, indeed, the entire provincial government had community engagements on the passing of the Township Economic Development Bill. And we have entered a very exciting period in the province of Gauteng because over the years, including since Premier David Makhura took office, we have been preoccupied with this matter of really how to make sure that we provide a legal framework that will provide consistency, make sure that everybody objectively knows what the law says. People can clearly know what are the expectations that they could have and what is coming, what the law allows us to do to really support the township economy, township enterprises and businesses. Yeah. The most exciting part about this bill, which will be signed into law very soon, is that, for the first time since April 1994, our province has really given the residents of Gauteng, a very concrete, clear, tangible form of support on how to empower businesses in the townships in a much more clearer way. Yeah. And that includes, we know that in every business initiative, finance is very much important. This bill creates the Township Economic Development Fund, and this fund will sit under the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller. And the regulations, when they are passed, they are going to detail in a much more clearer way the technical process of how to apply, how to access the funds. Yes. So for the first time in the history of our democracy, we have got a fund that is just dedicated to enterprises in the township. Secondly, we know for a fact that many professionals in the townships, people who work in their backyards, people who work at nodes such as taxi ranks, they don't have buildings and supportive infrastructure for them to do their businesses. The costs of, renting buildings and infrastructure is too high. So the bill says the Department of Infrastructure Development in the province, which is the custodian of all immovable assets, that is land and buildings, is going to support the people to make sure that they will have access to land. And of course, it will also look at making sure that, for the first few years, people are fully supported to be able to manage the issues of rentals.
Let's stay with the legal and regulatory framework so that we don't run out of time. You're saying it's dedicated. Dedicated does not, MEC, necessarily mean simple. We've seen a lot of dedicated funds that people are unable to access. 2, dedicated does not necessarily mean that it will be cost effective for me to get that funding. For example, if I'm expected to come up with an environmental assessment study and so on and so forth, and I must produce this document, that will be costly for me as an entrepreneur in the township. Are you putting your head on the block to say this bill will eliminate all those hurdles?
You know, one thing that is exciting about this bill, it's also that it comes in the context of the President of the Republic, President Cyril Ramaphosa, having emphasized and having said it loud and clear that the rest of government must remove this thing called red tape. Because I think the point you are worried about is how will it deal with the red tape? And I want to assure you that Premier David Makhura in this province has also made sure that he has a dedicated MEC responsible for dealing with red tape so that this fund can be very efficient, can be easily accessible, and we can remove red tape around it. So I also want to say to the viewers that, you know, if you look at other forms of support, like the recognition that we work in a technological environment, the Internet of Things, digital platforms, the Department of eGov, it's mandated by the law, working with municipalities to provide that type of support. So there's multiple sources of support, including financial support, and I can tell you, following directly on what the President has said and the capacity that the Premier has created, one of the things we're going to make sure doesn't affect this bill is red tape.
MEC, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. Gauteng Transport MEC Jacob Mamabolo, the MP's been on this promotion drive to, of course, give content and context to the Township Economic Development Bill.